Hello, welcome to Bonsai Trading. Today's October 1st, and we have a lot to go through. We have the stock market's crashing, and Bitcoin and Ethereum are ripping right now. So what's going on? Well, we're going to discuss it. We're going to discuss the dollar strength. We're going to discuss what crypto's doing, what the stock market's doing, how they're correlated, and how you can be a better trader based on what the charts are telling us. The Discord is only $15 a month. You get a 2-week free trial. You can sign up in the link below. We also have trading bots for Bitcoin and Ethereum that you can participate in if you'd like. And I do one-on-one sessions to help teach people how to read charts, how to draw things, and how to increase your probabilities of being correct on your trade. Also teach you about risk management and how you can be a careful investor. So let's get into the charts, and we're going to start with the dollar. So last week I mentioned that we got over this 105 mark, and we've been grinding up now. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're going on 12 weeks straight of the dollar strength just blasting, right? This is not good for markets. Markets tend to favor a more stable dollar, a dollar that trends sideways. So you can see while the dollar was trending sideways for a very long period of time, the S&P and the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones and stocks and equities, they were all moving up. And now, since we have this straight up action, equities markets have been falling. Well, this 0.5 level is where I've been targeting for probably a couple months now, since we broke the weekly pivot here. And we almost tapped it, so it's yet to be seen if we're going to touch it again. I don't know, but I do kind of expect this to sort of roll over here, at least a little bit over the next couple of weeks. So what that can do is that can bring equities markets back up a little bit. It's not as correlated to Bitcoin as a lot of people think. This can go up while Bitcoin goes up. But typically when the dollar strength is rising as hard as it is like this, then we see things like the S&P making moves down like this. Last week we saw the S&P with this big bearish candle, where this big red candle went through both the 8 and the 21 EMAs in one shot. This is a bearish indication. And so we got another week of downside following that, as I expected. Now, we had a gap on the daily chart. Right here, you can see it. There's no price action in here. And this is the gap that I was looking to fill. Well, we filled it and then some, and then bounced a little bit. But if we look at the weekly, we still closed above the yearly trend, which is that white line you see going through right here, right? And we still closed over it. We filled the gap, and so I think we can bounce now. The weekly EMAs are still technically bullish, so we are not bearish completely yet. However, this does need to recover, and it needs to start this week. If it doesn't, if we close down below this line here and don't hold 43.38, then we can expect further downside, come down to these moving averages in this box down here below where a lot of this consolidation action in the past was happening. But for now, I think we're going to get a bounce. That's my prediction for this week. How much is yet to be seen. It could be as much as this candle. We could get a candle that goes through both EMAs again back to the upside, but we're going to take it level by level, and we'll stay updated in the chats. The Nasdaq is kind of one of the few things that's making me think we might have further downside. That doesn't mean that the whole market will, because the Nasdaq is the more riskier index. It can fall further than the S&P and the Dow Jones. So it is technically possible that the Nasdaq could come fill its gap, which it has yet to fill. And you can see that here. There's a gap in the price action right there, and that's that green dotted line. And that's where I thought we would fall. However, it held right around this support here, which is the same support that it held last time, and bounced some. So maybe we get one of these motions here up at the daily pivot. We'll have to see. If we cross that 15,000 mark and hold it, then we can continue higher. But if we reject it again, then I fully expect to come back down and see this green dotted line, which is the gap right around 14.5 still. Going back to ES, this 43.38 level is very important. And if it does not hold, then we can see this fall quickly. Right now we're kind of neutral on the RSI, and although this is red here, it's still technically bullish because we're over center. So that's kind of how you read the MACD. If the lines are over center, then we are bullish. If we are under center, then we are bearish. But it could be heading in that direction. We just don't know yet. But right now I'm taking a shot long on SPY, which also filled its gap, which is the yellow dotted line that you see here. So if I go to the daily, you can clearly see that that gap right there was filled very perfectly, right? So there's the gap, there's the fill, there's the bounce, and now we just got to see if we can keep going, right? And so I think Monday is going to be important. You can also see it's held its year-long trend as well, right? And that orange line is like a 20-year trend line. And so that's kind of where we bought back in like October of last year. And I've been kind of selling some things up in this area. And now I want to see if this is going to bounce. And if this bounces and starts getting back up over those EMAs, then I might start buying back some of the things I sold. But until then, I'm being careful. If we look at the Dow Jones, it's kind of a different story. It seems like this chart looks worse than the S&P and the Nasdaq. And that's because it is worse. Like the EMAs are about to cross bearish here. Like they're very close if you see them right there, right? It also broke its yearly trend where the S&P is still holding. Now, typically in a bull market, everything's going together, right? And so it's kind of odd that the Dow Jones is not keeping up. And when equities like major risk assets sell off, typically you'll see that money flow into value, which is the Dow Jones. And we're not seeing that. And so that's kind of still a little bit of a, it's kind of making me a little queasy, right? Like I don't really like seeing that. I want to see everything kind of moving together, and they rotate. Money rotates from one to the other. And I'm not seeing that happen right now. And while the dollar is still going straight up, is another sign that people are just cashing out. They're not rolling their funds from risky to value and from value back to risky again. They're not rotating that money around like you would typically see in a bull market. And this chart here is definitely indicating that that's what's happening. People are cashing out. So we want to see this not break. We want to see this stay below 107. If we start getting up over 107, then I think we're going to start seeing some major downside on equities. So that's what we're going to keep an eye on. All right. So this chart is potentially the most important thing for crypto right now. And I'm going to tell you why. So we are in this triangle, and we've been in this triangle since Bitcoin's all-time highs, which were here. And this is, if you're not familiar, this is Bitcoin against the Nasdaq. And so this is just how much Bitcoin is performing or not performing against the Nasdaq. And we've been in this triangle for a very long time. And we are currently approaching resistance. You can see that we are oversold, or overbought, I'm sorry. But that doesn't mean we can't stay there for a while. You can see our EMAs are bullish on the daily. And on the weekly, they're starting to turn bullish. You can see they're kind of curling up here. So if this turns bullish on the weekly, then that means this broke out, right? That means it broke the triangle that it's been trying to break for a very long time. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out and show you why this is so important. So if I zoom out, you can see the previous two bull markets. And I'm going to get rid of these so it's easier to see. The previous two bull markets started when this chart broke out. Okay, so here is Bitcoin's last bull market, and then all I really need to do is just draw a trend line here to show that this is where that bull market started, right? So here's the last cycle, here's the cycle after that, and here's the cycle we're in now. So it would make sense to me that if we broke this triangle to the upside, then technically speaking, our Bitcoin bull market is starting, right? And that's big news, right? We need to pay attention to that. Now, that doesn't mean we're just going to go straight into new all-time highs. It just means that we're going to get started in the uptrend process, right? We still have the halving happening in April, so that's still quite a ways away. But historically, before the halving, if we look at this chart, let me get rid of this thing. Whenever you have your halvings, which are these orange dotted lines, okay, and I can go all the way back to here, you can see that the uptrend starts well before the halving here. It starts well before the halving here. And it kind of is dipping into the halving here, right? So far, 2 of the 3 times, our uptrend begins before the halving, right? One time we had a big major dip, but this was COVID. So I think if COVID didn't happen, this would have just kind of curved here and then gone up. And so now we have our halvening here, and we've already had this dip, right? And you can see that we're at the bottom of this channel that has been forming for quite a while. This is kind of the channel, right? So if I had to guess, I would say that we hold this and we start our uptrend into the halvening very soon, right? Like in the next 3 months, if not starting now, right? Like I don't know if this chart here is going to break out right now, but I do know that when it does, I'm holding on to all my Bitcoin and I'm dollar cost averaging every week. That's what I'm going to do. So this is very close to breaking out. The weekly is very close to breaking bullish. And if we put our pivots on, we are over pivot, right? This is weekly pivot bullish, EMA's almost bullish, almost breaking the trend line. There is a lot about this that I really love. And there aren't a whole lot of people looking at this chart. So I'm kind of excited. I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but I think we're close. All right, let's go to USDT. So this is stablecoin dominance. If you don't know what this means, basically it's the dominance of the USDT stablecoin. If this is falling, then that means stables are being turned into crypto, right? If this is rising, then that means crypto is being turned into stablecoins. And right now you can see we are breaking the uptrend that we've been having since like mid-July, right? So quite a while we've been on this uptrend. We have now broken it. We have broken the 1.414 here, which is 7.76%. And if you're wondering why I had that arrow there, I'm going to show you how I measure things. So I'm going to take my fib retracement tool and I'm going to go from the bottom and I'm going to measure to the top. Now you can see I'm lined up right on that 618. Now why am I lined up on that 618 and not the 0.5? Well, the 0.5 is important. We need to break that. But if I put my pivot points on, you can also see that I have major confluence with my pivot point and my 618 at the same time. You can see we're currently bouncing on the S2 pivot, but there's no other fib really around here to hold it, and we've already been here once, bounced, and now we're returning again. So the chances that this is going to break down are much higher than here. Why? Because, well, it held support the first time, we've returned, and we've broken the uptrend at the same time. So to me, this is just going to be a little minor bounce. It might come back up to this fib here before it returns lower. It might want to go test the 8 EMA up here again. We might get a good dip, but in my opinion, that dip is for buying. And so that's what I plan on doing. I think that we are going to start heading back down to the bottom of this triangle. Oh, and I meant to leave that on for a reason. Okay, so the bottom of this triangle just so happens to line up with the 786. And so we can kind of get an idea of maybe how fast we can get there by where this kind of intersects, right? So this is right around mid-October, right? And October, historically speaking, is a very good month for crypto. We've just gotten through the summer. We're into the fall. Summer is always bad for crypto, historically speaking, not always, but most of the time. And now we're out of summer and into fall. And so now is the time to I think start buying. You know, that's what I plan on doing. I'm glad I held my Bitcoin. I'm a little upset that I sold my Ethereum, but that's okay. It's still right around where I sold it now, so not a huge deal. But when we look at Bitcoin, there's 3 big resistances that we need to get through. First is the 28.2 level. All right, that's kind of where we just hit, and we also see our weekly 200 moving average sitting right here. Now, historically, whenever Bitcoin is below that 200 weekly moving average, which is this red line, that's when you want to be accumulating, and that's what we've been doing for almost a year now. And now we're about to get over it, and so this may be the last time we're under it. Who knows? I don't know if we're going to get another opportunity below the 200 MA, but we've been saying that every time it gets below, and here we are again. So who knows? But right now, the EMAs are starting to point bullish again after recently being bearish. So this was a very quick turnaround, and we're starting to head back up. So if we clear this 28.2 level, then we need to get over 28.8, which is the next major resistance, and then the 100 moving average on the weekly, which is right around 29.3. We clear that, and we can go make new highs. So there's quite a bit to get through, but I do think that it can do it. If we look at the daily, I've just taken the downtrend here, just like I did with USDT, where I measured the uptrend, and you can see that my 0.5 lines up in the same spot as USDT's 0.5, right? They're very similar. They're just reversed. So we need to clear that, and then we need to clear 28.8. And if we get up into this zone here, then we can start making new highs. Like we need to get past 28.8, and then we can say, all right, let's just keep going. But you can see we broke the downtrend, so that's a good start. And this is now bullish. You can see that divergence that we spotted a few weeks ago turned out to be good, right? Like this is pointing up, this is pointing down. That's bullish divergence. Our MACD and our RSI are now in bullish territory. Everything about this looks good. So I think dips are potentially for buying, and we can see higher highs. Looking at the CME chart, 28.8 is kind of where we just hit, which is kind of fascinating because the spot chart didn't get that high. But that's going to be the level to clear, along with that green 100 moving average on the weekly for the CME chart. So we can kind of say 29.3 is the spot to break, and we will most likely start pumping pretty hard. Hopefully this isn't turning into a big head and shoulders pattern, but we still got ways to go before we can start spotting that. But we have the CME gap up here at 35K, and that would be our target should that 100 moving average break. Looking at Ethereum, we almost had a death cross here, still yet to be seen if we're going to get one, but we've cleared all of the resistances that we needed to clear. Let's go here. So ETH is still in its main downtrend, where Bitcoin is breaking its downtrend. So you can clearly see that Bitcoin is still doing better. The chart still looks better than Ethereum's chart. We didn't fill this gap, which blows my mind. I really thought we were going to. And that's where I was going to buy, and so I did not buy back in again yet, and so that's okay. You get them wrong sometimes. You're not always going to be right about where the price is going. You can only increase your probabilities. So get used to that. You can see we have the 100 moving average here that we're fighting at the moment, and then we got a downtrend, and then we got the 200. So there's a lot of resistance to get through here as well, just like Bitcoin has a lot of resistance to get through here. So we still got some work to do, but things are heading in the right direction. 25K might be it. You can see how much it was resistance here, and now how much it's support here. So that's a good sign. We don't want to see 25K break. If 25K breaks, then we're probably going back down to 20. Who knows if we're going to head like way up here first and then make a big fall down, or if this is the start of the bull market. I'm not going to say I know for sure. What I do know is that this is bullish right now, and I want to try to capitalize on it, right? If things change in the future, then you know you're going to get my updates, and we're going to be on top of the game. So, all right. So let me see. So there's that, and then the ETH Bitcoin chart. So this is Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? So this is Bitcoin's performance against Ethereum, or I'm sorry, Ethereum's performance against Bitcoin. And you can see it's been in a downtrend for almost a year. Bitcoin continues to dominate, and we still can't clear that 8 EMA, right? So for now, Bitcoin is still the leader. Bitcoin is still the one you want. I don't see any alt season starting yet. Right now, they're just having oversold bounces, which is great if you can take advantage of those short term, which we do here in the server every once in a while. I did really well on Luna, and I just recently had a nice long on Bitcoin, so that was great to start the week. But really, this is not looking great for Ethereum yet at the moment, but when that changes, I'll be sure to let you know. All right, so I think that covers everything. I'm going to end the recording now and then go into the chart requests from all of the members in the Discord. And once again, if you'd like to join the Discord and get updates like this every week and every day, I post charts twice a day on all the major charts and let you know what I'm seeing. And I also call out all of the high confidence trades that I personally take. So if you'd like to join the server, click the link in the description. Be sure to hit like and subscribe to my videos. It really helps me with the YouTube algorithms. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. See ya.